William George Duchess, Billy as he was called, was a typical American teenager from a middle-class household in Hawthorne, New Jersey. Billy, tragically, became another casualty of the Vietnam War, one of the over 58,000 individuals who are represented on the Vietnam Veterans Memorial. Another 21-year-old Marine sent to Vietnam by politicians who always send someone else's son or daughter to fight. On June 14, 1966, Flag Day, near the Vietnamese village of My Son, a Viet Cong bullet to the neck felled Billy in a hot, nasty rice paddy. Marine Corporal Billy Duchess was the first soldier from Hawthorne, New Jersey killed in the Vietnam War. Billy's best friend, from childhood through young adulthood, Jim Brogan, was also a Marine at the time and in Da Nang, Vietnam when he heard the devastating news that his brother-in-arms and best friend Billy Duchess had been killed. 1,400 miles away on the island of Okinawa, U.S. Air Force Airman First Class Nat Jenkins and his buddy woke up to another dull day of duty at the boneyard, a storage area where broken-down equipment was sent from Vietnam. That day, their duty was to examine hundreds of battle helmets with their covers on them, some with holes, some with graffiti, and blood encrusted. They were to separate the ones that could be used again and discard the rest. Nat's buddy suddenly spied one particular helmet cover and said, "Nat, here's one with your hometown near L.A. written on it." Nat looked and then chided his buddy, saying it was Hawthorne, New Jersey that was written, not Hawthorne, California. Regardless, Nat felt the cover was good luck and he stuffed the cover into his pocket. Decades later, Nat Jenkins was retired from the Air Force and living in L.A. Moving from his L.A. home, he pulled boxes from his attic. One contained old military clothing. Pulling out a uniform from a box, a helmet cover fell out. Not wanting the trouble of moving his old clothing or the helmet cover, he offered the items to the new owners, a husband and wife, who decided to take it off his hands and sell it at the local Redondo Beach flea market. The wife, spying the helmet cover, was going to throw it away, but the husband convinced her it would sell too. At the flea market, a man, Chris West from North Carolina, stepped out of the crowd and bought the military gear. The wife threw in the helmet cover, and West was puzzled a bit that all the gear was Air Force except for the helmet cover, which was Marine. The helmet cover now moved to North Carolina. West was going to trash the cover, but his brother Ron, visiting from Canada, took an interest in the helmet cover, so West gave it to him. At some point while in Canada, the helmet cover ended up for sale at International Military Antiques Incorporated. Quinn Matthews, a militaria collector from Toronto, purchased the helmet cover for $200. He said he did not even realize that Duchess referred to someone's name. In 2019, he put the cover on a website, greatmilitaria.com. Here is Quinn's original query from Toronto at the Militaria website, seeking to learn the identity of and the story behind the helmet cover. Quinn began the quest to track down the history of the cover just with the clues on the helmet. Quinn says using the Google search terms snorkel, Duchess, Hawthorne, Vietnam, my heart dropped to the pit of my stomach. The result read. It was a link to the virtual wall, an online memorial for all the servicemen and servicewomen who lost their lives in Vietnam. Quinn found Paul Chaperko, a Hawthorne native and retired Marine who knew of Billy Duchess and put him in contact with Jim Brogan. From there, the rest is history. In conclusion, here is CBS reporting on the story.
Well, this Memorial Day, a New Jersey town is remembering a Vietnam War Marine who was killed at just 21 years old. A new display in Hawthorne hopes to carry on his memory by showcasing a special piece of history. CBS 2's Christina Fan has this story.
Over on this side, you have Hawthorne, New Jersey.
In the 57 years since William Billy Duchess died protecting this country, his hometown of Hawthorne has never forgotten. His name is adorned on this park bench, hung from the street sign, and now sits proudly in the local library.
We do believe it's something to be shared with others because it represents not only Billy, it represents all those who didn't come home.
Frank Duchess was Billy's youngest brother, just 12 years old at the time the family received this heartbreaking telegram that the Marine Corps Lance Corporal died from a gunshot wound to the neck while fighting in Vietnam. For years, the family clung onto Billy's photographs, letters, and medals until 2021, when they received a touching surprise.
Somehow it made its way from Vietnam to Okinawa, ultimately back to the States.
This was the helmet Billy wore the day he died in 1966. A Canadian military collector purchased the relic and returned it to the family after deciphering the scribbled clues left behind. Among them, Betty Lou, Duchess's girlfriend and prom date at the time.
We want everybody to remember, not to forget, that this young man did something to sacrifice his life for this country, regardless of what was politically going on at the time.
Gina Gerard with Lewis Bay Second Library helped the family create the space where those who knew him stop by often.
It brought the whole Vietnam War into us in a different way. You know, at that time, every night on the news, they would have a running total of how many people had been killed. And, you know, you see that on TV, but then you hear someone who could have been your brother, you know, who was your neighbor.
The display will remain in Hawthorne until Flag Day, the day Billy died. After then, the memorabilia will be moved to its final resting place at a Vietnam Veterans Memorial in Homedale. In Hawthorne, New Jersey, Christina Fan, CBS 2 News.